We welcome you back to a sun-drenched Daytona International Speedway. The 66th running of the Daytona 500. Lap number 24 goes up on the board. And Jeff, we've got a very special guest joining us.
Yeah, we certainly do. You mentioned it before the break. Joining us up here in the broadcast booth, a longtime friend of ours and an even longer friend of you, race fans and race listeners of the Performance Racing Network, the lead anchor, Doug Rice. After 36 years of broadcasting, he's determined that this will be his last year. And a bucket list, and Doug will let you tell the story, but a bucket list was for you to be here and to call the Great American Race.
I am thrilled to be a part of it here today and get a chance to be up here for the 66th running of this monumental race. Yes, it is a bucket list for anybody that works in the NASCAR broadcast industry. You want to have a small part of the Daytona 500, so thanks for making that come to fruition today.
The green flag is out, and the field's headed to turn number 1.
Here they come into the 31-degree embanking, and nothing has changed. It is still 2 by 2 by 2. The gap between the lead and second place, about a foot in favor of Christopher Bell.
One thing that is a bit different on the inside line, Chase Elliott, running in third on that inside line, has backed up a tad from Daniel Hemrick. He's got about a half a car length between himself and Hemrick on the bottom lane of the track.
And behind Chase Elliott on that inside lane is Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain, and a couple other cars. It's, in fact, everybody side by side all the way through the field.
Again, they come working back off turn number 4. Doug, you ready to call a lap or two?
Absolutely. Let's give it a shot.
All right, you pick it up next time by as they come to the line. It's Ryan Blaney, it's Christopher Bell, Joey Logano, and Daniel Hemrick. That's your top 4 as they make their way back to 1.
This time it's Bell by nearly a full car length in that outside lane. But as I say that, back comes Ryan Blaney with a little bit of drafting help downstairs from Daniel Hemrick. Off turn 2 to the Daytona Superstretch they run.
Chase Elliott backs up even more on the inside line. The lane was open for Michael McDowell to dip in right there in front of Chase. But right now, Chase is back at it. McDowell does not take advantage of the opportunity. Starting to open up just a tad down low.
And it's 5 cars now that have separated themselves from Chase Elliott, who's third in line on that bottom lane. About a car length and a half separate the top 2 on the bottom, Blaney and Hemrick from Elliott.
A little bit of a breakaway here with the top half dozen cars as they flash down the front stretch here. Blaney down on the inside, hugging to his outside. It's going to be C. Bell. Really impressed right now with the run that Daniel Hemrick's got in that 31 car as they roll back to 1.
Hemrick for Colleague Racing back in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2024. It's interesting to see what Chase Elliott's doing. Hanging back by a car length and a half, maybe 2. We'll see if he's doing some research on how much of a run he can get off turn 2.
And the same thing is happening behind Chase with Brad Keselowski. Off of 2, there was about a car length and a half of open real estate between Bradley and Chase. That now will tighten up again with Bell, a fender out in front with the lead.
And they work back into turn number 3. The bottom lane surges again. Elliott made up some pretty significant ground sort of by himself there on the backstretch, and he's closed right back in on this top 4.
They run side by side up off of turn number 4. Still Blaney at the bottom of the racetrack. Christopher Bell goes topside. Keeping in mind, neither one of those cars have been on the pit lane for Sunoco fuel as of yet. They continue to run 2 by 2 in the lead draft.
They've been successful in backing up the pace just a little bit, maybe 90-95% on the loud pedal instead of the full 100. End result, though, is still side-by-side racing all the way to the tail end of the field.
Toyota and Ford, 1 and 2 up front. You've got the Toyota of Christopher Bell. He leads the outside line, while the Ford of Ryan Blaney, your reigning Cup Series champion, he'll lead the lane down low and will draw even with Bell for the lead.
Behind them, it's still Hemrick and Joey Logano. Chase Elliott stayed a little tighter to this front 4 that time down the backstretch. Michael McDowell to his right elbow. Behind them, it's Brad Keselowski and Austin Cindric.
We're getting ready. Let's give you a quick look. Doug Rice at the top 20. Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Daniel Hemrick, and Michael McDowell. That is your top 5. The rest of the top 10, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Austin Cindric is 8th. Denny Hamlin up to 9th. And Tyler Reddick is 10th.
Ross Chastain hangs off to 11th, and it's Alex Bowman, 13th to Eric Jones. Nice run today for Riley Herbst. He's 14th. Josh Berry in his first 500 is 15th. Then it's Chase Briscoe, Chris Buescher, Zane Smith. 19th goes to Daniel Suarez. And rounding out the top 20 will be Justin Haley.
Field coming up off of turn number 4. Here they come from the sun. sun coming back to the shadow. It's still Blaney and Bell up top.
Appropriate after all the rain we've had here. They're still rolling 2 by 2 here at Daytona as they come back to the start-finish line. Blaney planted right down on the bottom, flanked to his outside. It's going to be Christopher Bell.
Ross Chastain led an early charge to that 3 wide line. Nobody's shown much of an inclination to do that this time around. Everybody content just to ride 2 by 2. There is no shortage of racing, though, at the front. Back and forth they go with the top spot.
And there are no bumpers connected. There's about a quarter car length between every single row of cars in this 2 by 2 pack of racing we're calling. And it opens up even more as the front 4 now begin to pull away.
It's about a car length between row 1 and row 2, and then probably 5 or 6 back to row number 3. That's 5th on the racetrack with Elliott and McDowell. The front 4 close back together again.
So big movers, big losers. Let's talk about that for a moment. 30 in, 35 to go in the stage. Big movers since we put them under the green flag. Now that happened back on lap 10 after that crash involving Hocevar and Kaz Grala, Austin Dillon, Harrison Burton. The big movers right now. Riley Herbst, you talked about that, Doug, up 14. Alex Bowman, Josh Berry up 13. Ryan Blaney, Michael McDowell, they're up 12. Alex, obviously, that's a good thing. On the other side of the equation, those that are going backwards.
Yeah, if somebody's going up, somebody's got to go the other way. David Reagan has lost 23 spots since we've gone back under the green flag from the caution. Then it's John Hunter Nemechek. He's lost 17 positions. Losing 12 positions is Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
For the first time today, we're seeing some real breakaway speed here. The front 4 cars have got about a 15-car length advantage over the rest of the pack. They're led by Blaney, and it's going to be Christopher Bell also in that pack, and then Daniel Hemrick hanging on along with Joey Logano in 4th.
Logano rides in the 4th spot, and then there is a fairly significant gap, 20-25 car lengths back to the 5th place machine. That belongs to Chase Elliott. They're 2 and 3 wide behind him, trying to regain that lead draft.
Denny Hamlin starts a 3 wide line out of turn number 2. Michael McDowell sees it coming. He'll go up and throw the block. While down low, you've got in that second pack, Chase Elliott leading Brad Keselowski.
So the top 4 single file around the bottom, then about 10 car lengths back to Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, and Tyler Reddick. They're single file. Then it's side by side from there back.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, this whole race is starting to look different right now. They're all broken up. They're running single file on the bottom of the track. I just got ready to compliment them how they were doing so good running side by side, nobody messing up. But right now, they said enough of that. We're going to the bottom of the track. Things are changing up. And I'll tell you what, I used to run those 150s with 20 cars. And when you get out there amongst 40 cars, all that wind that gets stirred up, it's a lot different. The cars handle different. So it's interesting to see if that's going on right now, if handling's starting to go away a little bit. We'll have to see.
That's what you've always said, so why don't we find out? We'll head downstairs to Steve Post. I would imagine, since Blaney, Bell, Hemrick have yet to come to pit road, Steve, number one, that fuel tank has to be getting close to dry. And like the Hall of Famer said, these tires are beginning to wear. What are you hearing on the radio?
It's an interesting game of cat and mouse right here with lap times and strategy. You're 100% right, and Christopher Bell, they did not pit on lap number 10. What they did during that side-by-side run is rode the pace way down. Now, those drivers that pitted on lap 40, we had a couple caution periods. Some of the speculation and talk was maybe they could make it to the end of the stage. The first 3 certainly have to pit. Just heard Kyle Larson's radio, and Cliff Daniels just said, we just can't make it to the end of this stage. So we are likely going to have pit stops for everybody. The difference is those front 3 cars are going to have to stay a whole lot longer than the splash that everyone else will need. So that is one aspect of it. Tire wear has not been a big key on the radio, but boy, I'll tell you what, if you want tires, if you want 4 good ones, you prefer to have 4 good ones, that's for sure.
Looks like Austin Cindric may be starting up a line up top here. He's trying to pull a bunch of cars along with him. He's still about 5 cars off the point, which is Ryan Blaney, but Mike Bagley, it looks like he may be leading a charge to the outside here.
Indeed he is, Doug. He is the first car out of line on the outside, and that's the race from 6th on back. Now, 5th on back, Cindric is up alongside outside Chase Elliott.
The entire field back together. Top three still on the bottom. Logano peels off that lane and heads upstairs to pick up his Penske Ford teammate of Austin Cindric. Side by side, third on back.
And that second line is a chugging top side. They've now worked their way up side by side for the third spot. Side by side now for the second spot. Joey Logano's got his Team Penske teammate Austin Cindric there. Now the other Penske car, and Blaney, the leader, goes topside.
Ryan Blaney jumps up across the nose of Joey Logano. So the high lane is Blaney, Logano, and Cindric. 1, 2, 3. Christopher Bell leads the low line.
A total of 4 Fords lined up in a row lead the top lane, and it's a mixed bag down low. You got the Toyota of Christopher Bell. You've got the Chevrolet of Daniel Hemrick, along with the Chevy of Chase Elliott.
And up top, it's a Mustang Dark Horse Stampede. Team Penske 1, 2, 3 with Blaney, Logano, and Cindric. Then Michael McDowell, former 500 winner, rides up forward.
Well, grab a picture if you're a Team Penske fan and you support Roger, because he's got his 3 Ford Mustangs going 1, 2, 3 at the Daytona 500. Ryan Blaney continuing to lead over Joey Logano and Austin Cindric. As they make their way back to turn number 1, Mike Bagley, what a picture, what a sight as they come working and thundering off turn number 2.
Got to put a smile on the captain's face. His boys are 1, 2, and 3 in the Daytona 500. They lead the outside line, but maybe not for long. Here comes an inside run brewing. Christopher Bell up to 5th. Now he's looking to the inside for 4th.
The outside lane seemed to be a little bit more organized and just has more cars in strength and numbers, but Bell doing a yeoman's job on the bottom. He's got the inside lane up to 3rd.
He does. They're going to stay right there, but the outside lane still has the numbers and the speed for the moment, including the race lead with Ryan Blaney. Lap 38 goes on the board. 27 to go here in stage number 1. Doug Rice, 36 years. Congratulations, and more importantly, thank you for being a voice of this sport for the millions of
honor to come up here and call a few laps of the Daytona 500. It checks a real big box in my career, and I'm deeply in your debt. And this was a lot of fun. You guys got a great view, and now I can go listen to you call the rest of it.
We look forward to you and the rest of the Performance Racing Network team next week, picking up the call at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, where you're going to be Grand Marshal.
Congratulations on your career, Doug.
Yeah, I get to follow up The Rock giving the command. Thanks.
That's Doug Rice from the Performance Racing Network as we work lap number 39 in the Daytona 500.